Can you hear me now? Very quiet and my tablet's at the highest. Can you hear me better now? I'll wait just a minute because I think I have to do something different with my microphone setup. Let's hope. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, well, somebody say yes, you can hear me just fine. Yes, good, got sound. Okay, yes, you can hear. Okay, good. All right, there's a huge delay. One, let me start from the beginning. Hello, this is Gary. I'm at the Denver Guitar Orchestra. I apologize for the sound settings. And I'm rearranging the desk here and getting rid of a bunch of old computer stuff that made it through the pandemic just fine. And now I'm going to throw it all away. I got a new computer. So we're going to start using that. And obviously I got some things to figure out with this microphone. But yes, everybody can hear me now. Good. Okay, good. Hi guys, how are you? Hey, we are finishing up book one. We are in the midst of book two. We're in the lovely Hokey Pokey section. Book three, we're wrapping things up. We're down to Waltzing Matilda, and then the classical book, we're going to be doing the first song out of book number one, along with the first song out of book zero. So we're kind of starting fresh in a lot of ways and wrapping up a few things. Everything's great, right? Good to have you all here. As a constant reminder, Tuesday nights is orchestra. Wednesday night is solo stuff. Both of those ways are very important to learn how to play. And I'm glad you're here. All right, let me make sure that this screen looks normal. It does. And let's go take a look at Row, Row, Row Your Boat. This was the song you were supposed to be working on this week. So let's hope that you did. Guitar, book one, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And Row, Row, Row Your Boat, in my mind, is the most important song in book one because it teaches you how to, it's only one chord, but we have it in two different positions and it teaches you to move back and forth as quickly as possible between them. Very important skill. It also has a really legit melody in it and lots of technical stuff that we need to get comfy with. So let's play all of our ways of doing it. Row, row, row your boat. Grab your D chord, index, middle, and ring. Okay, and just play the bottom four strings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to pluck them like this, but you can do whatever makes you happy when you are strumming. And maybe I'll do a one. I think I'll do an arpeggio pattern. So if you want to be doing what I'm doing, it's thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, thumb. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. One more time. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay. One sounds way fancier, right? Nothing changed except I was doing something smarter with this hand the first time than I was doing the second time, and it makes it sound much, those of you guys who like to sing, definitely get comfy with your arpeggio picking. All right, next we're going to play the melody. That's your one note at a time. Remember, when you come down here to fret 10, cover both 10s at the same time with your index finger. Okay, and then you're going to race back and put your D chord on when you get down there. Okay, from the top, I'm going to play in second position because there are no ones, so why not? From the top, 1, 2. All right, let me count it in better. 1, 2. Again. Okay, an ongoing reminder about vibrato. When you have your last note and it's all one bite and a note all by itself is sort of not expected, but it's a great idea. Just wiggle it. Just wiggle it. Don't lift it up. Don't push the string around. Don't do anything. Just wiggle your finger. You can hear it, right? Makes you sound more professional, makes it sound a little fancier, and really makes the song come together nicely at the end. All right, now, if you are legitimately in book one, when we're playing tough acts, it's a lot. My group that I meet with face to face here in the city, when they're in book one, I want them to tackle the tough acts in Farmer in the Dell and in Row, Row, Row Your Boat, but not really the other songs, okay? And so I do want you to give this a try. It's very complicated in the beginning, but if you can get the skill set down pretty solid in Farmer in the Dell and then in Row, Row, Row Your Boat, you'll be fine in book two. You'll do fine, okay? Clear up until you get to the F chord. All right, let's give it a try. I'm going to be thumbing down on each of these the first time through. The second time through, I'm going to go into my claw position and pluck it that way. So basically, I think of it as this way, and this is not the right way to think about it, but when I'm playing with my thumb, I'm thinking finger style, right? That's going to sound pretty. It's going to sound really full and beautiful. When I go to my claw position, I'm thinking classical, and that requires me to be a little bit more precise to get what I want done, okay? You want to be able to play both ways. From the top, very slow. 1, 2. Middle finger. Middle finger. Pinky. Stretch. Decorative notes. Go grab your 10s and the 11. D chord down below. Stretch, ring, D chord, middle, okay, to the top. Remember also, those of you who are newer, when you get to measure 8, the first time through you play it, the second time through you're supposed to play it, the third time through you're not supposed to play it, you skip over and play measure 3. Alright, you play the third repeat in measure 9. Okay, so it does take a little bit of practice to get used to reading repeats. Is that a fun song? I think if you're playing that one with any level of skill, you're doing great, and you should be be ready to move into book 2. Let's take a moment to talk about Three Blind Mice, and then we're going to move into book 2. Three Blind Mice is your song for the week, and you get a new chord, G chord. Here's the story. 5 strings up, 2nd fret. That's where your index finger goes. Okay. 6 strings up, middle finger, 3rd fret. And then the hard part, ring finger, bottom string, 3rd fret. Okay. Okay. On your guitar, if you've got metal strings, plastic strings, doesn't really matter, but try playing it sometimes up here in a softer sound. Try above the hole, a little bit louder sound. Right at the bottom of the hole, probably more of a classical sound, it's pretty tight. And then don't forget to play down here once in a while, so you get a wide range of timbre, I guess, for lack of a better word, a wide range of sounds. make you sound more interesting. Okay, so the G chord's a bummer. Now let's talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. We talk about it much more in book 2, but with the G chord you have other choices. So this is the one I want you to learn for sure. Index, middle, and ring. Now take your ring finger, move it up to the 2nd string, same fret, and then add your ring finger or your pinky finger onto the bottom string, 3rd fret, and you'll get a different type of G chord. It's got a lot more bounce, a lot more energy down at the bottom now. These 2 strings here now are working together. They're playing a lovely power chord when you do this. You've got a D and a G on the top of the pitch there. Gives you a real nice sound. This is when you watch, old guitarists. This is the one. This is the G they always use. Right? Then, got a 3rd way of doing this. Put your middle finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret. Put your ring finger up here on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, and now put your pinky back where it was. Okay, that's obviously this is leaving this finger open. That's a handy thing. Okay, so this is the same as the original position. It's just that you're using different fingers. Okay, and then that's going to allow you to use this. And the reason we want you to learn this one is, look at how convenient this is. If I take this and I drop these 2 fingers and put my ring finger, now I'm going to get to a C chord. Okay. And if I drop these 2 guys one more time, I'm going to get a lovely F sharp minor, or F minor 7th, sorry. Isn't that beautiful? Then I can go back up, and I can go get my G, and back to C. Okay, so there's a really nice reason to learn it. This G chord, middle, ring, and pinky it'll be very handy when we do folk music. I see sometimes I'll see singers and they don't really know how to run their guitar very well, but they know this system and because it works. So you started on C. I don't use it, but it's something worth knowing. And there is one more G chord that a lot of people use, and that'll be, you know how you make an E chord? If you slide it up to the 3rd fret, bar on the 3rd fret, it becomes a G chord. So you can 3 blind mice. So for those of you guys that are into bar chords these days, that's a real handy one to know where it is. Vic's already played through the arrangement. She says it's a great arrangement. It's a really hard arrangement, Vic. All right, so let's do our G chord for just a minute and run through it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all went after the farmer's wife. She cut off their tails with a carving knife. Have you ever seen such a sight in your life as 3 blind mice? Okay, so that's the strumming part of it. As with all things, go back through and take a minute to do some arpeggio picking. 3 blind mice. And in this one, you want to put your thumb on the top string and these 3 on the bottom 3 strings. So this your thumb on the 6th string, and then these 3 guys down on underneath 3, 2, and 1. 3 blind mice. 3 blind mice. See how they run. See how they run. They all went after the farmer's wife. She cut off their tails with a carving knife. Have you ever seen such a sight in your life as 3 blind mice? So went much faster on measures 5 through 11 that time on purpose, right? You can adjust the tempo if you want. So I was playing the top as written and then the next 2 staves as systems as double time. Now, let's play the melody. It's all 1s, 2s, 3s, right? So first position, index in 1, middle in 2, ring in 3. There are no other notes. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should go hopefully pretty smoothly for you. That's what you'll work on this week. Now I will make one mention. Vic has already played the tough acts, but it's really, really, really hard. So if you're playing along and you're like, you know what, I want to play tough acts, and this song doesn't go well for you, that's fine. Don't worry about it. This is the hardest tough acts in the entire 4 however many book series that we have now. This is by far the hardest one because these 2 fingers have to be planted. So your middle and ring have to be planted up here. And we're going to be rocking back and forth between your pinky and your index. It's really kind of unpleasant. So I'll show you what it is for those of you guys who would like a challenge. Let's go through it and just see what you got to do. Okay, so from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Index, no index. Pinky. Okay, so that's what's on the paper. Vic is right. It is a really great arrangement. The problem with it is it's really unpleasant to play, and and especially when you're new. I mean, even now, I mean, my thumb's like, "What are you doing, man? That's kind of a lot." And so if you can't play this tough act, it's fine. You do not need to play this tough act. We got way more interesting stuff coming up anyway. But if those of you guys who like a challenge, this is definitely, I would say when I'm playing this, every time it comes up, I'm like, ugh, God, I hate that song. So, because it's hard to play. You know, we shouldn't hate songs because they're hard to play. Every song has its hard parts, right? And so we should still be willing to try them. All right, let me make sure I did everything that I'm supposed to in book 1. So book 1, that's your song for the week, 3 Blind Mice. Don't skip this book 1 stuff, guys. It is the foundation for everything. If you can do book 1, you will be able to do book 2 with a couple of exceptions. And then of course everything in book 2 is the nuts and bolts of all guitar playing, and then once you get to book 3, then we start playing songs that are worth playing, right? All right, let's go grab book 2, Go Tell Aunt Rhody, and see how that goes for us. Book 2. Go Tell Aunt Rhody. I probably mentioned this is my neighbor down the hall. She's 95. This is her favorite American song. All right. The big takeaway here is you aren't going to be practicing getting from C to G and back. Okay. Now, for those of you who are in the previous moment, you can do this C chord, this G chord, and this C chord. Okay, you can do that. When we get to the tough acts, there's a couple of places where we're going to be needing to use this alternate G in order to free up this finger to do some other stuff. So just know that in measure 3 and in measure 7, when we do the tough act, we will want to use this alternate G, middle, ring, and pinky, because we're going to need this index finger to play the melody note in those measures. But for now, whichever G makes you happy, play that. This guitar is desperately in need of a string change. Playing, I'm like, good loving, Gary. I did tune up before class. So that's a little closer to what you're playing. All right, C chord to G chord. From the top, 4 beats per measure. 1, 2, ready, play. Go tell Aunt Rhody, go tell Aunt Rhody, go tell Aunt Rhody the old gray goose is dead. She died in the mill pond. She died in the mill pond. She died in the mill pond, standing on her head. The goslings are mourning. The goslings are mourning. The goslings are mourning because their mom is dead. I don't know who wrote that song. It's terrible. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Which one did I skip? The one she's been saving. Yeah. I think I have the verses in the correct order. I don't know for sure. I do know the word dead is missing in measure 9. All right, so there's our G chord and C chord. Definitely, in my mind, for me anyway, C chord is just always a bit of a catastrophe. I've been playing a long time. C chord is still the one. It comes up every single day, and I still have work to do on it. Let's play the melody. All's zeros, ones, and threes, so we'll play in first position from the top. 1, 2, ready, play. Supposed to repeat it 4 times, 3 times, 4 times, and there's your melody. Nothing to the melody, right? This is no big deal for you guys. Even if you're just in book 1, that melody is something you can totally handle. Now let's go take a look at the tough acts. We worked on this last week. Remember, in measure 3, you want to use the middle and ring G chord because you're going to need your index finger to play that 1. How can I get this where you can see it? You're going to be playing, making it worse. So you've got this G chord on. Your ring finger's, pinky finger's going to actually be on the 2nd string. And then your index finger's going to come down and play this first fret. And then go back to a normal C. Okay, so measures 3 and measures 7. Where your G chords show up. When you're playing tough acts, you need to use your alternate G. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pinky. C chord. Pinky. pinky. Alternate G, C chord. Let's play it one more time. Second ending. Aww, so sad. Okay, we don't care about the song. What we do care about is C chord and G chord and the alternate G chord, right? So there's lots of stuff to be learned here, and it's also stuff that's going to come up, right? You're going to be playing C chord every single day. You're going to be playing G chord every single day, and you're going to be playing alternate versions of all of those chords. So this is a very pleasant little way to do it. Notice I played it super slow. That is okay. Please give yourself permission to play stuff way slower than you need to when you're learning it. Get it nice and smooth. Get it where you're not making mistakes. Work just on the areas where you make mistakes. If you're consistently making a mistake, go work on just that area. You don't need to play the whole song every single time. Just the areas where you're going to struggle a little bit, and then go back, and then at the end of the practice time, you're like, okay, now I'm just going to play the whole song, right? But I think we have a tendency to play too fast. We have a tendency to play the same mistake over and over and over, and we don't want that. We want to, as soon as we've made a mistake, to isolate that one little section and figure out what do we have to do in the future to not have that mistake continuously showing up. So practice suggestions. All right, next one. You know you've been waiting for this. You've been like, I can't wait until he gets around to playing Hokey Pokey. That's the best song ever. So let's go talk about Hokey Pokey. All right, the reason Hokey Pokey is in the book is years ago, I had this young lady. I think she was third grade, maybe, and she wanted to play Hokey Pokey on the ukulele for her classmates in the assembly. And so she and I worked together, and she got the whole thing put together. And I don't know how many verses of it she did, a whole bunch. But she pulled up there in front of the whole school. I went and watched. And we were in the gym, and we played Hokey Pokey together, and it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. It's a 2-chord song, and so yay, here we are. So you will be able to star in an elementary school talent show with this song. Now, difference between this and the previous song is now we're doing G7 officially, right? So your C chord is here, like we've been doing, but to G7 it, these two fingers go up and this finger comes down. And you can hear the tension in that. Remember, if you have a C here, D, E, F, G, those two chords are always going to be happy to hanging out together. And then whatever's on 5 can be a 7th chord, which makes it more tense. And back to C. Okay, so those 7th chords are meaningful. They mean something. They're like, oh my God, I need to get back to home. Okay, so that's what 7th chords do. They create tension to be resolved. Now let's just run through the basic melody here. 1, 2, 3. You put your right hand in. You put your right hand out. You put your right hand in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Okay, and then repeat it 900 times. C and G7, they're coming up, guys, so you might as well work on them, right? Get them as solid as you can. Then the melody, let's go ahead and play the melody. I never play the melody until I take a glance through it. I'm like, okay, I got 2s and 1s and 3s, and on the next page I got 0s and 2s and 1s. Awesome. This is going to be no problem, right? 1, 2, 3, and off we go. Now, here's the one musical thing to pay attention to. In measure 0, you've got 3 notes, but you have 4 beats. So how long is your pickup, right? Your pickup is the 3/8 notes, but how many notes do we count in? In this case, because we're in 4/4, there's 4 beats in a measure, and those 1/8 notes in the pickup there are worth 1.5, so we can't. So you got to do math, and you're like, okay, when do I come in? After beat number 3. 1, 2, 3, you put your right hand in, and so pickups can be a little bit more challenging than you wish they were sometimes. So, but lots of songs will have multiple notes in a pickup, and so you get used to counting them. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, and then we go on the off beat after 3. You put your right hand in. Okay, and you guys know, generally speaking, when I'm playing melody, I'm playing with my thumb. I get the best control out of that, but you shouldn't necessarily stick to that. You should also be using your index and middle, alternating them as good practice for those of you guys that are doing classical, especially. You put your right hand in. You put your right hand out. You put your left hand in, and you shake it. Whoops, shake it all about. So that's something to work on, and the sooner you get where that's really easy to do, the sooner you'll be a great classical guitarist. Okay, I'm gonna play with my thumb though. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Repeat it. Okay, so again, not too much there. The one thing that is interesting in measure 4, 5, and 6, if you look in the standard notation, the chords and lyrics line, you will see sharps. Okay, and shake it all about. So that those sharps there, whenever you see a sharp show up, every single note in that measure is now also sharped that is on the same line. So in this case, we're playing some A sharps, which is right here. We don't usually play that note in a lot of the tunes, but we do when it's a sharp, right? And so it's a different position. We play this note, 3 on the second string a lot, play 3 on the first string a lot. Pretty unusual for us to play that 3 on the third string, and you can think about it this way. You're playing your G string, and then 1 up is G sharp, 2 up is A, and 3 is now A sharp. Okay, and in music, whenever you see a sharp inside of the measure, all of the notes just in that measure are sharped that are on either the same line or the same space. In this case, in measure 4, the first sharp shows up above it, and then there's another one above A, right? And so shake it all about, and you can even hear it in the song. It just sounds a little bit wanky. Interestingly, in measure 5, you've got 2 A's. You do the hokey pokey and hokey. You do the hokey pokey and then notice and has a natural sign in front of it. That means it's back to being a regular A. Instead, it's no longer an A sharp. And then in measure 6, we fix it again, and we add a sharp onto it in measure 6 for 2 notes there. So we don't spend very much time talking about sheet music proper here, but it is one of those things that you want to at least be aware it's up there, and it's useful for certain things. Those sharps and natural signs there send me the message, hey, we're going to have some weird sounds in this measure. Let them be what they are. Okay, and then of course you'll want to work on the tough acts. Let's play through it real quick and just make sure there's nothing we need to talk about. 1, 2, 3. G chord. Yeah, you're going to need to use your... Well, no, you're on G7, so it's fine. Getting your pinky in and out on those threes is pretty challenging. Index finger. C chord. And so all that's all pretty, it's harder than you wish it would be. And then in measure 9, the last time you come through, notice you got a nice arpeggio pattern in there. Okay, so we'll finish it up kind of with a fancy little flourish. There's Hokey Pokey. You're welcome. I know it's hard to express how happy you are. You're going to be working on that this week. All right, let's go play Trumpet Voluntary. Let's move into Book 3. Book 3, Trumpet Voluntary. All right, and remember we played down to measure 16. We come back up to measure 1, and then you play down to measure 8. And you jump over to measure 17, you play down to the bottom, and then it says DC al fine, that means go to the head and play to the DC, de capo, go to the head and play to the finish. So you're going to go back to measure 1 and play down through measure 8, and you will stop on measure 8. Okay? I need to make myself a note. To number 1, to number 1. Done. Let's see how this goes. From the top, get your regal guitar on, okay? Not your Bob Dylan guitar. Get your fancy guitar on. From the top, you can play with your thumb, you can play with your claw. Hopefully, a little bit of both, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. To the top. to the top. Don't you feel very regal? Don't you feel like you could be in charge of Denmark now? I like that song. Old-fashioned wedding song. They used to use that in weddings a lot. Now they use Coldplay. All right. Another song for the week, or that's from last week. Next week, this is Waltzing Matilda. Now, Waltzing Matilda, the fun part of the Waltzing Matilda is not playing the tough acts. I'll tell you that right now. The fun part of Waltzing Matilda is singing it. All right, and so if you're not going to ever sing a song, then this will not be as fun for you as it should be. But here's the important thing. You get a B minor in here, and those are, we only have a few of them in Book 3, but we have gajillions of them in real life, and so it's a great chance to practice your B minor. And unfortunately, in 2016, I arranged things a little bit differently, and so you don't have the bar on here. So go to measure 2. Let's talk about B minor for just a second. B minor, I just put, back in the day, I used these factory-issued stupid chords that they have in Finale, and they're terrible. And I realized, that's confusing because it looks like there's 2 dots here, and then a dot and a dot, and you run out of fingers, right? There's a bar on 2, okay, and the A minor shape in front. B minor, that's it. Okay, so remember, A minor's here, A sharp minor, and then B minor right there. Okay, and that's what you're going to be using. Okay, that's the chord you got to get. And with bar chords, guys, yours are going to sound like this probably when you first start. Okay, and that's fine. Okay, that's how you play them till one day they just are there. Okay, and you're always like, well, what day is that going to be? And I'm like, not today and not tomorrow. It'll be somewhere after that. All right, let's run through the chords. 1, 2, ready, play. Once a jolly swag man camped beside the billabong under the shade of a coolibah tree, and he sang as he sat, and my page didn't turn. Why not? Oh, I know why. Whoops. Done. There it goes. Page 2. Waited till his belly boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. I can't sing that high Matilda with me. And he sang as he watched, and he waited for his billy boil. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. To the top. Down came a jumbuck to drink beside the billabong. Up jumped the swag man and grabbed him with glee, and he sang as he stowed that jumbuck in his ducker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And he sang as he stowed that jumbuck in his ducker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And then 2 more times through, obviously. Go read the words. The words are funny, actually. It's a funny song. Now, the reason we work on chords here is obviously we need to learn B minor, and so B minor shows up and then goes away, shows up and goes away, shows up and goes away. That's sort of how B minor works in life generally, and so it's a great opportunity to start working on that just a little bit. The melody, there's not a ton to it. It's not really a Book 3 melody. It's a little bit. If Book 2 allowed for 4-chord songs, we would have done it in Book 2. Once a jolly swagman. So right, I mean, it's just 2s and 3s and 5s. There's not a ton there. I guess in measure 10 you do go. You notice I all of a sudden couldn't sing the song because it's way too high. Waltzing Matilda, 10 waltz. So it does get way up high there. I mean, and that's why you would want to use a guitar because all of a sudden you're like, I have no ability to sing this, and so let the guitar do the singing. You might spend a little bit of time on the tough acts because, again, you get a chance to knock your D minor or B minor into there. So the big technique here is when you get to measure 2, and back in 2016 I wasn't putting measure numbers on everything. I'm going to need to update this sheet, obviously. We have the first chord and melody note is with the bar, and then you have to lift up the bar and then put it back down, and then switch to the G chord. So this is a really nice one to work on your bar chord and your stretched out the D chord with that pinky stretched out. Working on that one is worth your time because it's going to come up. And I'm trying to think, there's nothing else in here. Oh, there's in measure 11 you have an all 7s. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. So you can work on that. So actually some pretty interesting skills overall in the Tufts line. The melody I don't think is probably worth your time at Book 3, unless you're going to play with somebody else who's going to handle the chords. Then obviously you need to know the melody. But otherwise, spend some time on the tough acts and definitely spend some time just singing and strumming it and trying to get your B minor on in time and off in time for whatever the chord comes next. I think G chord consistently comes after the B minors. Yep. So it's always a G chord that comes after a B minor in this song. There. Okay. That's Book 3. Okay. Good to work on that. Now, we finished up Book 0 last week, so now I want to just start doing one song each week out of Book 0 and then a new song out of Book 1. So let's go grab Autumn Waltz out of Book 1, and you guys have all played this before, so hopefully this will be no big deal. Prettiest song, honestly, in the entire series, I think, 0 series. This is just a really pretty song. Now, do know the fancy guitar, that's when I put together an arrangement of it. That's not what's on the sheet music, right? That's when we fingerstyle eyes something. So grab, if you are in Book 1, this is actually really a perfect melody to get you starting to think about using all of the things, all of the strings. And if you're in Book 2 or above, obviously these should be, it's all melody, so it should be pretty straightforward. I am finding it is helpful to go ahead and put the chord on this one. Okay, we got a 4-beat count in, and then we go 1, 2, 3, rest. Whoops. That's it for the regular melody line. I played the whole thing with my thumb on purpose to show you how not to do it. Right now, playing the whole thing, you'll get away with playing your thumb with just your thumb in book 0. When you get to book 1 and beyond, you really want to be thinking about using I am, and switching between them. And then low notes, use your thumb. So you see what I'm doing, right? Alternating index, 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 middle, and then on the low notes hitting with my thumb. Hopefully I didn't tab that out of the screen. And the idea there is you're going to end up getting faster by getting these guys where they can just, they're just alternating back and forth between the two, and then you'll be able to play faster down the road. It's a really important technical skill to be working on. Let's go ahead and play. How are we doing on time? We're okay. Let's go ahead and play the fancy guitar. This is where my finger stylized version of it. And for these, of course, when you finger style something, you're planning on everywhere where it makes sense adding in the full chord. Okay, so from the top, 1, 2, 3, rest. I have to tell you something that just happened. So we have my mother-in-law's dog, and she's been sleeping back here in this back room with me, getting used to the new house and all this stuff. She's a very sweet little dog. She's not super smart, and she's very unpretty, but she's a lovely little dog, and we're getting used to her. She's getting used to me, and she's been staying here in this back room with me while she gets acclimatized, and then we're eventually going to be able to all sleep in the main bedroom with the cat, right? So we've got this whole system that we're working on training her. And on this wall over here, it's a glass wall that leads out to our balcony. It's an enclosed balcony. And she just came by and walked straight into the glass that I have closed in order to keep the cat out. And she does not know that and so she just ran into the glass wall. It doesn't have the autumn waltz feeling to it. All right, from the top. 1, 2, 3, rest. Go to the A. Yeah, there we go. It's lovely, isn't it? All right. I love that when you switch to the A chord at 26, it's like, man, that is cool. Good for them. All right, Lyse Gingras wrote that. Looks like she's still alive. We should call her up and say, hey, thanks for Autumn Waltz. Now, speaking of dead people, the book 1 song is Tourdion by an unknown player from 1529. Now, a word of warning, with book 1, we're not going to do them in order because they do all these Renaissance stuff first, which is brutal, and then they do all this kind of, I don't know, classical stuff, which is okay. Then they finally get to the round of the romantic players, and those are better, and then they go into exercises, and those are terrible, right? So I'm going to be mixing these up as we go through the weeks, and so that way we can get to, we don't have all the same stuff every week. And all the crummy stuff is all clumped in groups, right? And I shouldn't say there's crummy stuff. Everything's, you can learn something from every song, but some songs are easier to learn than others. What should I say about this one? This one will take your full attention. How about that? So we are in what appears to be a C chord in the beginning, but now notice in most classical guitar we don't put the chords up above there because it's usually the chord in most of this style of guitar. A lot of times the chords don't make any sense. There's extra notes in them or whatever, and it just doesn't necessarily help you. So just be mindful that if you don't see chords, you still are sort of thinking about chord shapes. Like a C shape is going to completely take care of my first bunch of notes here, and while it's not a C chord probably, because it looks to me like we're probably an E minor, probably. We start with an E note and we end with an E note, probably. No, we end with an A note, don't we? Huh. Who knows what key we're in? We're in some sort of mode, it looks like. So we'll find out. Let's see how it goes. Nice and slow. We'll talk about everything as we go along. We're in 6/4, by the way. That means there's 6 quarter notes in every measure. That makes no sense from a modern ear, but think of it as 3/2, basically, or 3/4 even. And just a whole lot of quarter notes, okay? From the top, real slow, just treat out, and the whole first measure is all quarter notes. 1, 2, I'm not going to count to 6. I'll count to 2. 1, 2. 3 and 0. Did I do that right? I didn't do that right. 2 and 0. Now we go to eighth notes. Okay, so pay attention at the end of measure 2 that you go from eighth notes to quarter notes. Okay, so when we get this 3, dun, 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 dun. Okay, and then it feels like you've finished. So you're thinking, okay, we played 2 measures, we take a little break, okay, and then we go back and measure 3 to the same idea. Then again the 3 and 0. 1 and 0 on the other string. 4, use your pinky. Okay, then we repeat to the top. I went too fast there. Let me go to the top again. From the top, 1, 2. Now fast. Slow here. Go. Wrong note. Quarter note. Eighth note. Pinky. Quarter note. Now on to the next section. Where are my fingers? Here we go. Go. And then again, same idea. Pinky. Quarter note. Pinky. Okay, then repeat to 5. Let's do it. Okay, so there's a halfway decent melody in there, and 1529, that's a little while ago. It doesn't necessarily fit into what our ear is used to in modern music, and that's sort of the reason we do it, is something to, like, what did they used to listen to? Well, they listen to this nonsense. You can sort of put on your, I don't know, your hat, weird hat with a feather in it, and your tunic, and play this song. And the nice part about these songs is they start to make you really focus in on what strings are we actually on. For those of you guys that are serious, maybe you're going to be doing some additional classical guitar at a higher level, make sure to go through and look at the standard notation and what's going on up there. They're telling you, hey, which fingers to use, both on the right hand and the left hand, and all of that. It will make you a better player if you go through and study that just a little bit. Notice we talked about in the other song that we had some A sharps. In this one, in measure 3, we have some C sharps and a G sharp over in measure 4, and so all of those kind of weird sharps are telling me we're probably in some kind of a mode that's not how we normally lay our songs into keys. And again, you don't have to know anything much about, you don't have to know all of that stuff, but you should, as a musician, look at that and be like, okay, I got some C sharps and some G sharps, something's up, right? And that makes you play better. So give that one a shot this week. It's definitely harder than the stuff we've been doing in book 1, mostly because it's just an unfamiliar key. But if we I think this sort of shocks us back into working, right? And I think that's the way it's going to go. Now, let me take a peek at, your schedule for the week. You're working on 3 Blind Mice. You're working on Hokey Pokey. You're welcome. You're working on Waltzing Matilda. You're reviewing Autumn Waltz. Hopefully that's a song you can play now. And then you're starting Tourdion. And then I was going to peek and see, probably, I've got a couple of other songs out of book, the classical book 1 already done. We have an Andante in G. We may go ahead and just put that on our list right away. It's really fun to work on. The Waltz by Catalid is beautiful, and then that Aguario Andante, I can't remember which one that is. Oh, that one's actually pretty hard because you've got to get the timing right. So we have plenty already up on the book 1, and I will be as much any time that I can find tossing some stuff into you. Via Brazil, I've already arranged down there, number 47. So there's plenty in book 1 already that's posted on the classical page if you want to peek ahead. And yeah, I'd say, we're approaching the Christmas season, so we will probably after Thanksgiving toss in some Christmas music as well, so that we can be working on that. So hopefully I have a chance to clean up some of this sheet music and make it good, make it better, and give you a few new arrangements. And we're just going to keep going. My plan is to finish all of the books, through book 8. Now it's 400 and some songs in RCM. yeah, we'll be at this for years. And tell your friends they can come learn it with you. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Hope you have a great week. Thanks for being here. Sandy, Vic, Linda, and of course a couple other people hanging around that I don't know who you are. Glad you're here. And we'll see you guys down the road somewhere. Peace.